Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, it's counting down to welcome, welcome, welcome to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and Friends. Today I have with me an author, and this man, I'm so proud of him. He got a new wine out, y'all.
Wasn't easy.
Frank Jordan is on the show today, and he's going to come and talk to you guys about Black history. And we want to know the question. This is the topic today: the disappearance of Black history taught in public schools. Why? Why is this happening? And so, who better to give us some information or input or talk to us about it? I got here. Come on, Frank.
Hey, Laura. First of all, thank you. All praise to the Most High. First and foremost, and yeah, thank you. You want to know something? It's funny because this has been a very busy month for me, and
Mm.
one of the topics that in questions, I think I did uh, seven schools. I did four stores, and I did two universities this month. And
Oh,
one of the topics was why does America why does America want to erase Black history out of the school systems?
wow.
Yeah, that's not a hard question for me to answer. Um, you know, what I find fascinating is is why why is that even something in question for us?
Well,
Right, because when of course, when you go back, on our history, Black history, I mean, we have a fascinating history. Number one,
right.
a history that most of us really don't even take note of, and we even care to even know. I think that most students that I talk to, they think that America wants to erase Black history from the history books because of the way that they portray slavery as such a grueling, act, of the workforce. So, when that happens, and when you have, people vote on that, throughout the district, the school districts, Black history, like it started from slavery. So of course they're going to eradicate, that, along with other things as well too, which I think is a huge mistake, Laura. Huge mistake.
Yeah, it is very, because there's a lot of our young people that really don't know anything about their history, and that's the sad part about it. So it's important to have the Black history in schools. I really believe that. I truly believe that.
Right, right, right. And another thing also is why wouldn't, white Americans, want to erase, our great history? Because I'm gonna tell you, just within, I will probably say within maybe five, maybe 7 to 5 to 7 years, you have more information, that's being disseminated,
Right.
about our history that goes far beyond, us just working in the slave fields and the cotton fields of America. So you have a lot of people that's waking up to the fact that, we were kings and queens, prince and princesses, in other countries, in Rome, in Germany, in Russia. And these were people, we're from the same bloodline, as our ancestors that was brought over here in slavery. So, one of the things that I do know, Laura, is that in the 1400s, like I always talk about, there was a big, there was a big, there was a big existence, okay, and something that was put in place called the Renaissance period.
Hmm.
And when you look up the word Renaissance, it means to redo, or to rebuild or renew. And when you go back and when you look at the Renaissance period, that's exactly what the architects and the painters, guys like Rembrandt, Michelangelo, and Picasso. Not Picasso, he wasn't born then. Rembrandt, Michelangelo, and Leonardo da Vinci did during that time. They actually took all the dark art and painted it, whitewashed it, into white art. And why not? When you have a history, their history, which goes back to the caves, it was no fun being them. So they had to portray themselves as the greatest people, on this planet. Kings, queens, anybody that was great, that's who they portrayed themselves as, even to this very day.
Wow, that is so sad. And you know, somebody told me a long time ago, I don't know if I told you this or not, but somebody had told me a long time ago, if you actually go into, if you actually read your history, it'll show you that the real cavemen were not black men.
Of course not. Of
Yeah.
course not. Of course not. They look. Let me say this, right? They even still call themselves. That's where the word Caucasians came from. It came from the cave dwellers, Caucasus Mountains of South Georgia, Russia. They still call themselves that. To this day. Caucasians.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because of the Caucasus Mountains. Even when they have even the voting system of America. You have to. They call it a Caucasus vote because that's the reason it was predicated and it was actually pretty much founded by white America. They call it the caucus vote, and a lot of people don't catch that. The caucus vote is actually of course is controlled, okay, by white America, by Caucasians. So when you have a history that actually stemmed to BC, in the caves, it's a very boring history. If you was in the caves and you came out, you was cave dwellers. It's cold up there. That's the reason why, a lot of times, this may sound a little funny, but that's the reason why, white Americans like ice hockey, they like ice fishing, they rock climb. Blacks don't rock climb. We don't rock climb at all. We're taught to rock climb. We go to the YMCA, but blacks, we don't rock climb. That's not our thing. We don't go to the mountains to ski. We're taught that, okay, that's fun. It's no
Right.
fun going down a hill 200 miles an hour, and you're afraid to hit a damn tree. We go up there to party, listen to the DJ and drink some alcohol and get our little party on. That's about it. But as far as the skiing, that's not us. That's not us at all. We don't like breaking limbs on our body,
Yeah.
breaking legs and sitting in the cabin, one leg up. That's not us. Bless you. That's not us at all. A lot of that stuff stem, from their habitat and the way that they live.
Yeah. Wow. That is so funny that you said that because you right. But now we do have some African Americans that will, do some of those things. They try to do some of the
Oh
things
yeah.
that they see them doing. But I wanted to say this before we continue on. I wanted to say that, you guys, I made today a special day to come on because I know that we're getting ready to end Black History Month, and who better to come on the show and do a special with, rather than bring on somebody that's singing or whatever. I wanted to bring on somebody that know a lot about Black history, and I think that this is a good way to end the month. This
Thank you.
man here, and I wanted to share this as well. So this is, I'm gonna bring, this man has been busy, 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 busy. This is Frank Jordan. He's an author, a best-selling author. This man is a motivational speaker. Look at him. He's at one of the events,
Thank
and
you.
he got a whole gym of people there to hear him speak about Black history. So that's why I felt that it was important to bring him on today and close out the new year and the month of February. This young man also has his own wine out. Make sure you guys go out and support. Is it available now or?
It will be available next month, actually, in 37 chain supermarkets. You can actually order it on Amazon as well too. And I'm doing wine tastings
Okay.
uh, throughout the country as well too.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. So, well, let's get back to our Black history, though. Congratulations on your wine, but
Thank
I
you.
also wanted to say I know that process probably was really hard.
Yeah, yeah. It was actually a 3-year process. I have to take some of the blame for that because, I was just so, tied up in different things. The wineries, you got to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody, even to get a foot in the door with that. So, they used to call me all the time and I used to put it off and put it off. So I kind of just, just axed everything out for like about maybe 4 to 6 months. And I traveled back and forth, to a couple of vineyards down in here in North Carolina. And I got it done. The process is definitely it's definitely an educating process. The grapes and the seasons of different grapes, muscadine. You have different kind of cranberries that you want to put in. Quality cranberries. If you want, wine straight from, the grape, to the bottle, it costs more because only one glass, will get you there. Sulfates, sulfites that go in there. So I kind of crafted the wine, after our people's taste palettes.
Oh,
Black people go and they sit amongst, people in business meetings and weddings, at events. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, Laura, we don't like certain wines. We
oh
pretend
yeah.
we pretend that we like certain wines, just to, look a certain way and to adapt. But we don't like certain wines, Shiraz and, certain kind of Chardonnays. We don't like stuff like that. We like grapes, like red muscadine, and we like mango. We love stuff like that. So I kind of pattern, I didn't use white sugar, I used brown sugar, so we kind of have for all intents and purposes, so, I kind of patterned the wine after what I like and what I know our people taste palettes, adapt to and what they like, because I'm not going to sell anything to our people. I'm not going to give them anything that I wouldn't promote or I wouldn't drink myself.
Okay. So let's go back to the Black History thing. So
Sure.
why do you think that it's disappearing out of the schools? Why do you think they don't want it in the schools?
Self-esteem. You know, um, More and more of our people are finding out that we were just more than just field hands during the time of slavery. We invented, all things, okay, here in the United States. And let me say this also, everything that you can think of, even down to this pen right here, was invented by a black man by the name of W. Purvis. So anything that you can think of from the time you leave your house, from the time that you go to bed, was invented, by our forefathers, African Americans. So, why would they want to promote and why would they want to keep these things in school books?
Right.
It'll be a great self-esteem, to our people. And needless to say as well, also, Laura, that would light a fuse actually for our students actually to create and engineer certain things, just like our forefathers. I mean, here's a list right here. Here's a list that I have, um, of inventions. By the way, you have, the shampoo headrest. I mean, this is a list. The cash the cash register, street
Oh, really?
sweepers.
The cash register?
This is a list right here. Okay, of black inventions, of black inventors, front, back, forward, and this is actually a list. I mean, and this is a list. This is a list of black inventors, actually, that I think was updated probably maybe 5 years ago. So this list actually has actually tripled since then. Let me give you one: the letterbox. Okay, the mail street box. Okay, the thing that you put your mail in every day was invented by a man named P.B. Dowling. Okay, the guitar, Robert Fleming. So anything that has anything to do with the founding, because everything starts somewhere. It has to start somewhere.
Right.
They trick our kids, and say, someone added on to, or they made improvements to. And like I tell people all the time, how can you make improvements to something that never existed? That just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right.
Black people, they made improvements too. Improvements to what? It wasn't invented yet. So, there's a list. I have a book, with, okay, like the lawnmower, by D. Johnson, a man by the name of D. Johnson, swinging chairs, Egby, the air conditioning unit, of F.M. Jones. Um, this is at least, I would probably say, a list of probably maybe 500 inventions, household utilities, the car, Mr. Greenwood, which invented the Model T Ford car before Henry Ford went and actually
Stole his
hijacked
idea.
his invention. Absolutely hijacked his engineering invention and withheld it from getting patent. That's a known story that a lot of people know up in Detroit as well too. Yeah, the Model T car was invented by a brother.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they don't want them to learn that. They don't want our young people to learn that because they want them to think that you could the only thing you are capable of doing is being a rapper, a basketball player, or something like that, or drug dealer or whatever. Those are the things they want them to believe that they can only be. They can't be inventors. They can't be best-selling authors. They can't be. That's the thing that they want them to think.
Right, right, right. You're absolutely correct. Because that would actually bankrupt America within a matter of years.
Mhm.
When you have and when you show kids, okay, that their forefathers invented this and they're people of, they look like you and I. Okay,
Mhm.
therefore, we're not going to look up to, the image of Bill Gates, or we're not going to look up to the image of someone by the name of Thomas Edison. Okay, we're going to start to look to our people a little bit more at the greatness that they have actually created, and that'll bankrupt America overnight because whatever we put our hands to, we're captains of everything.
Right.
You got a woman by the name of Shirley, I think her name is Shirley Johnson, Shirley Ann Johnson, that invented the like the two-way caller. She invented the answering machine. So when you
Mhm.
got black people, okay, that look like you and I, that's inventing and engineering these things, okay, we're not going to no longer actually depend on America any longer. So what we're going to do, we're going to think, we're going to turn that TV off, we're going to turn that Xbox off, we're going to stop smoking marijuana, okay, we're going to stop gang banging on each other, and we're going to say, wow, this kind of stuff is what's needed within the black community, and it was invented by people that look like you and I. So that's one of the reasons why they don't want to, and they want to eradicate black history, real black history, out of the schools, is because America will go bankrupt in a matter of probably years. You get a bunch of black men together and black women together, and we
Oh
start
man.
thinking, and we start really thinking, they'll go bankrupt overnight. And they know this. They know this. They got to keep us thinking that we would just feel hands and massa was just whipping us. And, we had no kind of ingenuity. They taught us how to read. And I make this point all the time. We were brought over to America on those slave ships. I don't remember no trade school. I don't remember any university waiting for us to teach us anything. We got off those ships. We went straight ship, auction block. We went straight to work. And so I remember everyone, the books I've read, engineering, we would, the irrigationists, the astronomers, blacksmith, goldsmiths, we did everything. There was no school. There was nobody that taught us anything. So
Mhm.
if we did this and we got here to America, that's another lie. They taught us how to read. Somebody that don't know how to read, they don't know how to do anything at all.
Yeah. Yep. And the funny thing that you said that about the how we use our hands to learn different things, and we've done a lot of things over the years. I think back to my dad. My dad was they labeled my dad legally blind, and but my dad knew mechanic. He was a mechanic. He
Wow.
knew the under the hood with his eyes closed.
Whoa, man. Wow.
The man the my people used to go to my dad because my dad was a bad man. I'm gonna tell you. He
Yeah.
had his own shop right there on 90, what was that, 79th and Stony Island. He used to have a
Wow.
shop in Chicago on
Right.
Stony 79th and Stony Island. And he had all kinds of people. He met so many different people would come to him because he would give them good prices, first
Mhm.
of all. Second of all, the man knew his stuff.
Right.
He knew his stuff. If we had a problem with our car, and say for instance, somebody tried to jack us up when we go to like the dealer or whatever, my dad would always step in. I
Wow.
never forget one time I had a problem with my car, and I had just bought this car, and my dad said, "Then that should be there should be something on there. I forgot what they call it. He said it was something that they are responsible to repair the car." And I was like, "Well, they told me that they can't." He said, "Let's go." We went
Wow.
there and it changed everything. You should have seen them people fixing that car.
Wow.
He said, you knew that when you guys sold her that car, that so and so was wrong with that car and this and that and yada. And they took care of it. They
Wow.
straightened my car out. Yep.
Wow. That's
Yep.
that's genius, you know.
Hmm.
And you mentioned, he was legally blind. That's a gift. That's a
Yep.
gift. The great Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, those
Hmm.
guys, legally blind as well too, but they're musical geniuses.
Hmm.
How does that happen?
Yep.
That can only happen. Look at a rapper or a singer.
Hmm.
You can get a rapper. You can get a rapper or a singer. You can get a rapper or a singer. Someone like Michael Jackson or someone like Beyonce. They can go to a foreign country, Dubai, or they can go to China somewhere, and a sellout, a
Yeah.
sellout every day. But
Yep.
you notice that you can't get anyone from Dubai or Korea to come over here and sell out. No, why is that? You
Yep.
can get a rapper to go to Japan. They don't understand a word he's saying. They just go
But
into the beat. Everybody faint, fall out. They can't understand
yeah.
nothing because we're those special people. We're those special
Yeah.
people, that everyone admires and everyone wants to be like, and everyone enamors. Everyone knows that. You don't see blacks packing an arena to see someone from Korea come over here to sing. I know
No.
I'm not going to do it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what is it about us? What is it about us that, you know,
Interest people.
right, that people admire so much? You think about it, a rapper, but back in the
Mhm.
day, Bismarcky, this is gonna sound a little funny. Bismarcky, the guy that used to beatbox, and
Uh-huh. I
he made a
remember.
song, made a song called Pickin' Boogers. Who can make a song called Pickin' Boogers and it goes platinum?
Now that's funny.
Who does that? Who does that?
Mhm. Only us.
Only
Yeah.
us.
We
Only
got
us.
we got so much talent that we just don't use. A lot of us don't use it. And we don't put it to good use like we should. And that's one of the things that I can see, one of the reasons why I can see why they want to keep it out of the public schools. If you ever heard the story about Steve Harvey, and he said that he was talking to his teacher and he told his teacher, I'm gonna be on TV one day. And the teacher told him, do you know anybody in your neighborhood that's on TV? He said no. She said, then what make you think that somebody gonna want your stuttering butt on TV?
Wow.
It's what she told
Wow.
him. Now look at him.
Wow.
He said that he started sending her TV every
Mhm.
month, a new TV every year or something like that, so that she would not miss him off the TV screen. And I
Right.
was like, man, that is funny, you
Right.
know.
Yep. And you want to know something? The funny thing about it, that's where I had deal at a high school, and I always say this. Our people have a way, of even our students, and don't never let anyone intimidate you or make you feel less creative or let you feel less successful
Right.
by you have to dumb yourself down just to fit in.
Yeah.
You have to make seem like you're not a smart person just to fit in with ignorance. The last time, I mean, that is the worst thing. Like I told the students, that is the worst thing that you can do. How do you fit in with ignorance? Why do you want to fit in with ignorance? That doesn't make any sense. If it's not, it's nothing corny or it's nothing bad about being smart or being, you want to help your people, be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be an engineer. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The people that's telling you, that smoking weed and not going to school and gang banging and carrying a gun, those are actually the people that secretly admire you. But
Yeah.
deep down inside, they envy you as well too, because they don't have that gift and they don't have the push, okay, and the passion that you have. So what they do, they make fun, okay, of your gifts, okay, just to make themselves feel good. And not only does that go for kids, but that goes for adults as well also.
Right. Yeah, that is so true. And a lot of times what happen with our young people is they try to dumb themselves down
Right,
just to fit in with a crowd.
right,
And and it's not cool. It's
right,
not cool at all.
right, right. I have something for you. I have something for you. And let me show you. This is something that I showed the students in the history books and what they do. And this is something that's very important. This is a book right here called, when you go in the library, this is a book right here called Kings and Queens, okay, of England.
Hmm.
So this is one particular person right here called King Henry VIII. So when you got kids that look at stuff like this, reason being, okay, that they will not, okay, they will not go into the library, and this doesn't interest them, okay, is because why? Because this guy doesn't look like us at all, So you're not enamored and you're not interested and stuff like that because it doesn't look like us, just like,
Right.
as a student, I didn't like history, but I used to get some of my best sleep in history class because, it was all I was taught was about the American system, the American way, Constitution, amendments, until I got a little bit older and I started actually going to the libraries and actually studying the stuff for myself and knowing that, like the amendments, all of that stuff was actually, modified, and all of that stuff was erected to keep control over us. So during
Hmm.
the time of the civil rights, and I'm gonna get back to my point, during the time of the civil rights, when we're marching for civil rights, we're actually marching to vote to let corporate white America come into our neighborhoods, okay, and destroy our neighborhoods. Okay, that's really what we're marching for. Civil rights, we want to be equal. During the time of segregation, we didn't need that. Okay, we didn't need that at all. We didn't need any kind of infiltration because we had our own schools, our own hospitals, our own church systems, our own supermarkets, our own farms. We had our own
Yeah.
banks. So we had our own airports as well too. So what would we need? The same people that came over here and enslaved us, and is so hell bent, okay, on making our lives a living hell. Why do we want to integrate with a people that actually they're the kids of the same people and carrying on the same tradition, whether or not our people want to accept it or not, carrying on the same exact traditions? As far as I know, nobody went inside the constitutional law or amendments, and they haven't changed anything. I mean, you got to look at it in 2009, and I know I'm straying a little bit. I know I'm talking a little bit.
That's okay.
In 2009, Laura, the hate crime bill was just established in 2009 because you had a kid by the name of Matthew Shepard. I think he went to a college in Wyoming in 1998, and it was actually ratified, and it was actually introduced, a hate crime bill. Imagine
Oh
that.
wow.
In 2009, it was just signed, okay, because you had a Caucasian student by the name of Matthew Shepard, okay, that was actually killed because of his choice of gender. So he was a male, and the kids, over in Wyoming, they said, okay, this is, they killed him. They said it was labeled a hate crime. So before that, you had a guy by the name of James Byrd Jr. that was dragged, okay, in Texas in 1998. He was dragged and he was killed, okay, by some white Americans. It was no hate crime bill for that, okay, and that happened before, okay, the Matthew Shepard thing. So if you got to kind of think about it, even Joe Biden just signed the anti-lynching bill last April.
Hmm.
He just signed an anti-lynching bill
Yeah.
last April. Here it is, 2022. At
23 now. We yeah.
12 noon, he just signed the anti-lynching bill in 2022. I'm gonna sign
Wow.
this bill, anti-lynching bill. That's one step closer to equality. So you mean to tell me that was still in place, okay,
Yeah.
in
But
America?
you but it should have been, it was other presidents before him that could have did it and they didn't do it. So
Absolutely.
I applaud him for even taking the time out to even do it. I
A-
still because he didn't
Absolutely.
have to, because he could have did just what all the rest of them did. They overlooked it and kept it moving, you know.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And let me show you something. Let me get back to my point. So I showed the kids this right here, right? I said, this is, in your libraries, go to college, this book right here, you can find it. It's called
Hmm.
The Kings and Queens of England. Okay, but there's one thing that our people overlook. Okay, and they overlook. And going back to the Renaissance period, is that when you go and when you dig a little bit more, you got to be really good with dates, and you got to be good with really family dynasties. Now, this is King Henry VIII. Okay,
Hmm.
now you notice the picture looks brand new, brand newly painted. The lines on there, his facial features
Right.
is brand new. But when you go into another book, this is a book called Shakespeare. Okay, this is a book called Shakespeare.
Okay.
And when you go and when you look into this book right here, okay, here's a coin. Okay, it's called the sixpence coin. Okay, and this is the same coin right here. Okay, of King Henry the Eighth. Okay, and you can clearly see that that's a black man right there.
Yeah, that's a brother.
Right. You
That's a
can.
brother from the hood. That's Joe.
There you go. There you go. Eat a lot of cheeseburgers too. Right. So when you so when you go into this book, you'll find that all the pictures in this book, okay, and this book actually has been re-edited and about
Yeah.
re-edited about maybe 3 times. So when you go back and somebody's lying,
Yep.
okay, somebody's lying.
Yep.
Okay, when you look at King Henry VIII in this picture right here, okay, he's a Caucasian. But when you look at an original coin, okay, here's another picture, okay, of King Henry VIII right here. Okay, same guy, different coin.
Wow.
Same guy,
Yeah,
different
that's a
coin.
brother.
That's a brother
And
right
that's a
there, right?
brother.
Right.
Yep.
And when
Brother
you
Tim.
when you go and that's another thing also. Why? Of course they want to take this out of schools, because once you start, and let me tell you something, this was in the 1500s. This was in the 1500s, and these people ruled in the 1500s and the 1600s while we were being brought over here as slaves. You had the Elizabethan period, the Shakespearean period, where you had kings and queens, okay, in England, over in Germany, that was ruling black people, big noses, big lips. Okay, so why? Of course, they're going to want to keep this out of the schools, because listen, when you look at this book right here, okay, and when you go way back, in the pages, way back here, this is who they give you right here as the kings and queens and first kings and queens right here. This is who you get right here. This is exactly who you get right here. And our people and our kids, this is all they know.
Yeah.
This is all they know. When they listen, when you get a picture of Queen Elizabeth, she's the first image that comes into your mind. Watch this right here. Watch this. Okay. This is a picture right here, okay, of Prince of Palestine and Queen Elizabeth I. This is another book right here called Shakespeare. Okay. Now this is the original Queen Elizabeth I. Now you
Okay.
tell me if that's a white woman or if that's a black woman right there.
No, that's a sister.
Absolutely, absolutely. You better
That's a
believe it.
sister.
You better believe it. Okay,
Yeah.
because this book right here is full. Okay, of black people. Okay, even Shakespeare himself in this book. Okay, is a
Mhm.
black man. His best friends are black people. Romeo and Juliet in this book are black people. So
Oh wow.
of course, they're not gonna. They want to eradicate stuff like this, because why? Because no longer will our students and our people, they're going to start to, it's slowly but surely, when you start injecting stuff like this into the curriculum, okay, of the education systems. No longer, okay, we want to work for corporate America. No longer we want to be basketball players and football players and athletes, okay, just used for money. No longer we want to be rappers. When you see our forefathers and our foreparents looking like this, it ain't no way in hell, okay,
Yeah.
that you would want to expose, okay, and want to treat, okay, and promote, okay, black women and degrade them,
Yeah.
in the mannerism, okay, that the rappers do. When you got women looking like this, and your forefathers and foremothers came from people like this, there's no way, okay,
Hmm.
you'll start seeing things in a whole different light. Our people have more respect for this woman right here, okay, when she was here on this earth. Our people have more respect for her than we have for one another, for our own women. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth. Oh, you know. but not knowing that she wasn't the first Queen Elizabeth. A
Mhm.
black woman was that came out of the Stuart dynasty.
Yeah, I seen I seen. I don't know if you heard of this story. It happened a few years back, and they just recently said it again. It happened again about
Mhm.
this white woman um, dressing as a black woman for she was acting. She had been going through this process. She was doing this all for a whole year. She put her changed herself into a black woman. So she was doing everything as a black woman, and they was talking about it just recently, and there was another young lady did the same thing all over again.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, listen, do me a favor. I'm going to be 2 seconds.
Mhm. Okay. Well, okay, guys. So y'all, we are talking about Black history and why they want to take it out of the schools, public school system. And I felt that the best person to talk about it would be Mr. Frank Jordan. This young man has a book out, so if you are interested in getting his book, I'm gonna show you his book. I think this is the book. That's one of his books. He's a best-selling author. That's another one of his books.
I can't keep that one right there. The one that you just showed, We Once Were Family. I cannot keep that one. 217 books just gone. Over a period of 2 days, lecturing in schools, and
Uh-huh. And now,
217 books
and,
disappeared in 2 hours.
and you can't keep that one in
Oh,
the
no,
school.
no, 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 no. That book, that book goes into detail about segregation, about what we had when we were segregated amongst ourselves.
Wow.
Black Wall Street's all over the place. In North Carolina, you had the first original Black Wall Street in Durham, Mechanics and Farmers Bank, that's still here today. You can go downtown Durham on East Parish Street, and you'll still see the Mechanics and Farmers Bank that was actually started by 6 black men.
Mm.
And that bank is still in existence today. That still actually caters to black families that want to start their own businesses. They don't really promote that at all. And those banks are commercial all over North Carolina and South Carolina as well too. And that bank was actually founded by 6 black men, and they don't promote it at all.
Wow. Yeah, I had I was reading a book by Hill Harper.
Mhm.
That's who it was. It was Hill Harper. I read a book by him, and he was talking about in the book, he was talking about how his family owned they end up owning like a whole block, because they had cash, they saved
Right,
their cash money, and when the recession hit, they had the money to buy the whole block, and so
right,
their family brought the whole block. And I thought that was so cool because they were all doctors and stuff like
right,
that, which I thought I mean, that was really awesome to hear. So he really, as he was telling his story, he was saying that he didn't come from um, being poor to begin with. His family
right,
was already wealthy, and I thought
right,
that was so cool to hear. That kind of stuff. Stories like that. It just really it's exciting to hear. You
oh
know.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, 1820 was a time period. Thomas Jefferson put the Removal Act in play in 1820, where he actually mandated that the government can come and they can seize your land anytime they want. He put that in play in 1820 when he went from Florida all the way up to the western coast, working the hell out of the North American Indians that were here already. Putting tracks down, mining for gold, and he put that act in place so that we could never ever ever own a piece of land here in America. And what I mean by that, it's easy for us to get together. Like, let's just say, for instance, like you and I, we see a piece of land for $10,000. You get five, I get five, and now we own that acre of land. But is mandated in the amendment, okay, in state amendments. you have to pay taxes on that land. You have to pay state taxes, which are government taxes on that land. If you don't pay the taxes over a certain amount of time, in comes that removal act, okay, which is, just a government, okay, amendment and a state amendment, okay, which saying if you don't pay the taxes on that land, we got the right to take that land back from you. So in all actuality, you really don't really own the land right out. Okay, you got to thank your ex-president Thomas Jefferson for doing that back in 1820 with the Removal Act, when he was removing the North American Indians off their land and promising the land back to them. And he was calling them Indian givers. You gave us the land, now you want it back. That's where that term
That's
came
right,
from.
Indian givers. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's so funny because I recall when I was a kid growing up, I remember, first I want to say this. Hey, Angelique, thank you for tuning in. But I remember as a kid growing up, I lived on the southeast side of Chicago, and I remember in our neighborhood, I used to live on like 60 something and 66 in Blackstone.
right,
And I remember that in that neighborhood, the cleaners was owned by somebody black. The barber shop was owned by black people. The candy store was owned by the black people. The hardware store was owned by black people. The grocery store was owned by black people. The liquor stores was owned by black people. The
right,
tavern was owned by black people. And then all of a sudden, that stuff started just disappearing. It just
right,
started disappearing. And it's like, what happened?
right,
You know?
right, right. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, and let me tell you something. I'm sure, um, the government doesn't make it easy. Has never made it easy for us, to own anything. And again, if you got, you got and when you look back at all the black communities, and what I mean by communities, I just don't mean, we as blacks, we own, just a shopping center in Harlem. No,
Mhm.
these were communities. You're talking about
Yep.
300, acres of land, 500 acres of land,
Yep.
black communities. And the government always, they never made it easy for us, never
Nope.
made it easy for us. Even to today, you got Highway 75 that runs through Detroit. I think it's Highway 77 or Highway 75 that runs through Detroit, runs right through used to be a black community called Paradise Valley, and used to be called the Black Bottom, where you had black movie theaters, you had black ballet schools, you had
Mhm.
black, and just like in Chicago, you had Daniel Hell Williams that had the Provident Hospital,
Mhm.
directed the Provident Hospital, just for blacks to attend, and he made that school out of actually a training school for doctors and nurses as well too. So, like I tell people all the time, do if we're not willing to sell the land that we have, we're like, why would we want to sell the land? This is, we're recycling the black dollar. The black dollar used to recycle, I think they had a estimated 250 times, during the time of segregation. It went from your hand and my hand to 250 more black people in our
Yep.
community. Now the black dollar recycles, I think they said maybe 1.5 times, within the black community.
Wow.
Yeah, so it goes from my hand to the Korean's hand,
Yep.
because we've let them infiltrate, you
And
know,
coming to our communities, take over. They got the shops there. They got the hair beauty supply stores. They got the
right.
liquor stores and the candy stores and everything else now. And we
Yep.
don't own much of anything no more
Right, right, right. And how does this happen, Laura? How does this happen
because
when
we
you
don't
have
support.
billionaires, whether
Hmm.
they play for the NBA or whether they're entertainers, you have black billionaires.
Hmm.
That how does it happen that these guys are contracted and they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars, and how is it that they can go to a club, they can go, somewhere where they're actually having an all-star game, and these guys are actually put their money back into corporate white America's pocket rather than their own community. So you mean to
Yep.
tell me that you got an NBA player or entertainer that can charter a jet, for $2.5 million and show him and his wife getting on a jet, Louis Vuitton luggage, and you got to pay
Hmm.
about, I think, a gallon of gas for a private jet probably is about $1,200 a gallon. So
Wow.
you mean to tell me that they can do that all year long and boast and brag about it, about the
Hmm.
money that they have, and you mean to tell me the neighborhoods that they came from, they don't have a black-owned supermarket. They don't have a
Mhm.
black-owned bank. They don't have a black-owned library. They don't have a black-owned hospital. Nothing. So you got to charge these people, for actually not being in contact and not reaching out, other than saying we're going to give to a charity. Okay. But anytime our people, give to a charity, it's never really the charity of their choice. It's a charity that's going to benefit also white America and everybody else. So, even the money that we earn, when we get to a certain, position in society, that money don't even belong to us. You actually think that you got people, I'm not going to name names, you got people that actually, are multi-billionaires, in
Yep.
entertainment. You actually think they can go back, to a certain housing area that they grew up in, or they can go back to the hood, and they can do it. It's no problem. They can build a whole black community. No,
Mhm.
no, not at all. It ain't,
Mhm.
unless they do it through someone else, unless they do it through
Yeah.
someone, they give the money and they funnel it through someone else. And that's going to be investigated as well, too, if they decide to do that.
Yeah, because they're not gonna allow them to do it. They want our communities to be the way they are and stuff. And for a long time, I had heard that a lot of times that you wonder where these young men and these young men get the weapons from. They said that they leave them there. They drop them off into the communities, and that's how they get them.
Right, right. Jail systems are a big business. Jail systems
Mhm.
are just another form of slavery. You
Yep.
lock up, you lock men up. They got these farms out here, upstate New York. You got them in North Carolina. You got them in South. You got them in Florida. You got them all throughout the United States. And they're working for big corporations. And I know this for a fact. They're working for big corporations like Walmart. They tend to the fields, and these guys get like about 50 cents or maybe $1 a day. That's corporate slavery. That's corporate slavery. The same
Mhm.
as trafficking, human trafficking. That's another form of slavery.
Yep.
They doing the same thing, human trafficking, as they used to do with our forefathers back in the past. Snatch you up, put you somewhere, and you never know where you at. They blindfold you. Next thing you know, you someplace doing heinous acts that you like, what the hell? And that's another form of slavery as well, too.
Yeah, it's so sad though. It's sad that don't we don't. I wouldn't say. I was gonna say that we don't desire to have our own, because there are some of us that desire to have our own black restaurant, our own black whatever,
Oh yeah,
But then there's some that just, oh no, I ain't finna be bothered with that. And then
right,
they won't support the ones that is trying to. They
right.
won't. But you go and spend your money at Long Guan Chain store, and Long Guan Chain don't even want your butt in their store. To be honest with you,
Right.
I see too many videos where they showing them beating us
Oh, yeah.
up in their stores.
Oh, yeah.
And no way, that I don't even shop in those places anymore.
Right.
I
And
don't
don't
even
feel
go
bad.
in there. I
Right.
don't even feel bad about it because of that very reason. I've seen
Mhm.
too many videos where how they treat us. They ain't never put their hand on me, but it's just the way when you walk in the place, it's how they treat you. It's like this liquor store that's around my house. One day I went in there, and these were Palestinians.
Mhm.
So Pakistanians or whatever they call them. But they were. I went into their store to make a purchase. I was going in there to purchase something,
Right.
and it wasn't alcohol. And I guess because I was not purchasing alcohol, they didn't feel like my money was important to take right then and there. I had
Right.
to wait. You got to wait till we clear this line, the liquor line, because the liquor line had all our people in that line. It
Right.
was a lot of us in that line.
Right.
But I was there before all those people. But you
Right.
told me I have to wait until you finish. And they got two people. Now, mind you, they got two people at the register. They
Wow.
got two people working on the register. But they
Wow.
told me that I had to wait because they had to get this liquor line. They got to get these liquor sales. So my
Right.
thing was, I walked out of the store, and I said to myself, I would never go back in that store, and I have not been back in there. I'm gonna
Good.
tell you, the most powerful part on your body besides your mouth is your feet.
That's right.
because you have the power to walk away if something is not right and you're not satisfied with something. You
Right.
have the power to walk away from it. And I
Right.
walked away from that place and I never looked back. I pass it all the time, but I never go in there because it was, and I remember there was a man out there who was protesting against him. But all the black people in the neighborhood that seen him, they looked at him talking about he crazy. Just ignore him. He crazy. But now I understood what he was protesting about and what he was
Right.
going off about. They treated me so badly as a black woman,
Mm.
and the man that was in line that was paying for his liquor, when I walked out the store, he came behind me and he said, "Ma'am, I did not like the way he
Wow.
treated you in that store. But you didn't step up and say nothing about it. You
Right.
were you paid for your liquor, though. You went
Right.
on ahead and paid for your liquor, but you didn't stand up for me." And that's
Right.
the problem that we find, that a lot of times our own people will not support us. They won't stand up for us. The men, our black men, just we alone.
Right.
We just left out there to dry because
Right.
they're not standing up for us because, oh well, it ain't my problem. That's the first thing we holler. It's not my problem.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
that's not the answer. Back in the day, the black man used to take care of his black family with a black woman. If they see something that's happening, he will step up and he will say something. Nowadays, they don't say nothing.
Right, right. Because we were more of a community. We were
Hmm.
more of a community. Our morals were, 100% more, family oriented and intact. We were definitely more of a neighborhood,
Yep.
because our neighbors cared for one another. Now it's just a
Yep.
hood. We're no longer, neighborly to one another. We're shooting. We got to put locks on our door. So
Yeah.
now it's just a hood now.
Yeah. You
And
can't even go to your neighbor and say, "Hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar?"
yeah,
Because you don't know what you're gonna get in that cup now.
that's right.
You
That's right.
know.
Absolutely. And I have yet to see any foreigner, that has a business in a black community, come back to the black community and support their business or anything that a black community has or sponsors. It can be a block party, it can be a church, convention or a barbecue,
Mhm.
or it can be a school that's in the black community or a function. I have yet to see a Palestinian, a Korean, anyone, okay, come back to the black community, okay, on a weekend, okay, where they're not doing business, when they're closed down, to actually put back into the black community the dollars that we have given them. Okay, they go home, they get the hell up out the hood, count that damn money, laugh at you, and open up their business, okay, the
Mhm.
same day. That's incentive enough right there, okay, as blacks and Latinos, okay, to go and start up your own business,
Yeah.
okay, and push them out as well too.
Yeah, because you know what I have learned. I've seen them do this when you in their stores and stuff. I've seen them where they start talking in their own language to each other and they laughing.
Right,
So basically, it give me the feeling that, oh, they laughing and talking about us because we coming in their store and we're supporting them and
right,
they're getting richer and we're getting poor,
right,
and they laughing at us. And so
right,
when I see that kind of stuff happen, I have a habit and I have to stop it because of we're in a different time now, but
right,
I have a habit of saying, "Hey, speak English. This is
right,
America, you
right,
know.
right,
Speak English. You got something you want to say about me or us about us, say it where we can hear it."
right, right.
And
Absolutely, absolutely, and you're absolutely correct. Because it's shameful. Like I said, you have it, and it goes to show you the conditioning of our people as well too. You can have a rapper that can go to a strip club and spend $60,000 just throwing his money away.
mhm,
Off of nothing, instead of investing the money and saying, okay, well, there's not a supermarket, in Chicago on the South Side. Let me take $6,000, okay, and let me start, okay, to build supermarkets for my people so they can get fresh produce and so we can stay the hell out of these damn hospitals, okay, with all the bad food and the soda and the fuego grape and orange sodas that we're drinking in the Black community. They don't think like this, okay, because they're still under contract. You know, if I've yet to see one app, you would have to literally quit altogether, okay, to start
Mhm.
helping your people. Why do you think they give Kyrie Irving so much hell? Okay, and Kyrie Irving is probably one of the smartest athletes I've
Yeah.
seen. You know, Kyrie Irving doesn't care. Kanye is another one. You know, everybody think
Yeah.
Kanye West is
Yeah,
crazy.
they think he crazy, but
Yeah,
when I started looking at some of the stuff that he was doing and stuff, I got a better understanding of why he was
right,
doing what he was doing. You know, and people was talking about, well, he crazy because he losing these contracts. Kanye ain't stupid.
right,
Kanye may be losing those contracts, but
right.
guess what? They gotta pay him to get him out of them contracts.
Absolutely.
He getting paid regardless of what they decide they want to do.
Right.
He's still gonna make that money. That
Absolutely.
dude ain't stupid.
Right.
He's a very intelligent young man.
Right.
He just make people think he crazy, but
Right.
he's smart. Look at who he married. Did you see who
Right.
he just recently married?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guess who that is? That's the person who is the brand designer of his shoes.
Right. 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 I think her name is Bianca or something like that. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he
Right.
not crazy. That
Right.
guy is smarter than people give him credit for.
Yeah, yeah. And let me say this too. Anytime we're so conditioned, you know, to depend on white America, that anytime that we go against the grain, okay, of anything, you know, America say we looked at as, you know, we're crazy. You know, just like
Mhm.
Christ, you know, which was a black man, and disciples were black, you know, they were against the Roman Empire. You know, and you know, he was against the Roman Empire, and everybody wanted to stone him. What are you crazy? You know, so it's the same thing here in America. You know, anytime any black person, okay, which is always deemed a slave, okay, and you're nothing but chattel slavery, okay, you know, they deem you as crazy when you go against the system, when you go against, you know, young men wearing their pants, you know, down to their ankles, when you go against the dress code, you know, of young black women today, when you go against, you know, just the whole, you know, and demoralizing the way that the rappers demoralize, you know, black women. And that's one thing that's at an all-time high right now. You know, they're gonna demonize, you know, Kanye West for speaking against certain things in the entertainment, but
Mhm.
yet Kanye also, along with other entertainers, they demoralized and downgraded the black women and black men for over 20 years. But they never had a problem. No, nobody never
Mhm.
had a problem with that, Laura. When he was talking about black women stripping and talk about black women bodies and talk about black men in the hood and the jails shooting each other, glorifying killing,
Yep.
glorifying drugs, nobody had a problem with that,
They was
Laura.
okay with that. They okay with us killing each other.
Right, right, absolutely. Let me show you something else. Okay, in this same book, this is a picture right here, right? Okay, of James the First, which is in the Stewart family. Now, if you are a student and you went and if you looked at this picture right here, you'd be like, you know, that's you know, that don't have nothing to do with me and you know my family. But what they did, they actually took that same picture, okay, and they redid it. Okay, they redid the original. This is the original picture, okay, that they redid. Okay, and this is in the same book, okay, called Shakespeare. Okay, this is the same picture, King
Oh
James. The
wow,
first
that's
one
a
they
brother for sure.
absolutely. This is James the First out of the Stewart family. Okay, and this is one of the original pictures, okay, of King
Mhm.
James. And this is what they did. This is what they did in this book right here. Okay, they redid it with the fine lines. They redid it. They kind of like, you know, made his nose sharp, whitewashed his face, made him look as close to a European as possible. Okay, but when you look in this book right here, this is the original picture right here, painting, okay, of that same guy, King James the First, which came out of the Stuart dynasty, which all the people in the
Wow.
Stuart dynasty family were black and people of color. And I showed
Wow.
this to the students, and their mouth, their mouths are open, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you something else. Okay, and I know we probably run out of time, but I'm gonna get my money.
Yeah.
This is a picture right here, which says this is William Shakespeare's best friend called John Combe. This is William Shakespeare's best friend. Let me get a good
Which one is the one that's laying down
yes.
on the
This is
pillow?
William Shakespeare's best friend. Let me get a
Okay.
good
Okay,
picture of
I
that
can
right
see him
here.
now. Yeah. Okay.
Right, right. Now
Look
you
at
tell me, okay,
yeah.
that's a European right there.
No,
And when
that's a
you look him up, John Combe, John Coobe, Combe, John Combe, that's William Shakespeare's best friend right there.
Wow.
Right. And that's another thing also, like I said, this is one of the main reasons why they want to take Black history out of the schools because they know our history better than we know it ourselves.
Yep.
And when we
Yep.
look back at stuff like this and the millions, okay, and the thousands, okay, of inventions, the hundreds and thousands of inventions that you every day, okay, that you never, okay,
Even
take the
thought.
thought of thinking
Mhm.
that let's just say the printing press, the globe pencil sharpener, okay, was invented by a Black man, J.L. Love, fire extinguisher, T.J. Marshall, nail machine, lock, okay, even a lock was invented by a man by the name of W.A.
The
Marshall.
press and comb.
Pressing cone, that's right. That's right. C.J. Walker, that's right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, scaffold, dustpan. Um, the elevator was invented
Mhm.
by a Black man by the name of Alexander Miles. So you can clearly understand why they would want to eradicate Black history
Mhm.
out of the school system because it makes us look like the great people that we once were. They want to keep our people marginalized and they want to keep us corporate slaves and working. They don't want you to open up your own business. That's why community college was opened up. As soon as you get out of college, they don't have trade schools anymore where you can go from high school to open up your own business. That's the reason why they have community college because it's affordable and you'll always be a corporate slave and indebted to a credit debit system in America. When they got you thinking this way and you're 9 to 5 every day, you'll never think, okay, because now you're dependent,
Mhm.
okay, on corporate America. You don't mind paying taxes. You don't mind paying high rent. You don't mind thinking like a slave thinks. And that's all because of the way that corporate America has things, okay, set in the foundation. No longer are people think of that themselves as inventing things. And like you said, back when your dad, this man was legally blind and can actually put together a car. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. When I used to come down to North Carolina, I had cousins that can take apart a lawnmower and put it back together again. I used to look at them like they was crazy. Like, you guys,
Mhm.
how the hell do you do that?
Yep.
I live in Cement City.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
How do you guys do stuff like that? But
Mhm.
that's the genius that we've always had. That's the gift
Yep.
that we've always had.
Yep. We are some very powerful people that we don't. A lot of us don't even realize.
Right,
'Cause
right,
we have a man. We were gifted. We were
right.
gifted.
Right. And still to this day, white America does,
They know.
right, the Black man, how they had breeding and buck breaking farms and breeding farms, where they was actually breeding us, okay, as workers to be more workers. They would take a big strong buck and they do the same thing with athletes as well too today too. The term a lot of people what the slave masters used to do, and they got a slave, and I know we got to go. They got a
Mm.
slave plantation um here in North Carolina called the Mordecai slave plantation. It was erected in the 1600s, in the early 1600s, by the Mordecai family. It was known as a buck breaking plantation, and they still have it here in Raleigh.
Mm.
I visited actually twice, and some of the heinous things were done to our people back then. Just to breed, strong slaves. The term, mother effer, okay,
Oh,
came from that time back then because they used to actually blindfold the sons, okay, they used to actually blindfold the sons, okay, of some of the women, and
oh wow.
they used to actually
Yes, yes.
force, the men and the sons, okay, of the mothers. They used to blindfold them, blindfold the mothers, and that's where the term mother effer came from. I can't say what I really want to
Oh
say, but a lot of
wow.
times people don't understand where that came from, but that's where that term came from because you were actually physically you were doing that to your mom, and a lot of times when people say that mother, they don't understand where they came from. That came from during the time of slavery when we were actually committing incest against our own mothers. Blindfolded, of course, we didn't know, just for breeding, more
Mhm.
slaves.
Well, you got some of them, some people out here now that's doing it, and they know what they doing, but they not just African Americans. They other nationalities that's
Oh
doing it.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's shameful,
Yep.
and that's where that term came from. And anytime you hear that term, just think of slavery, blindfold and
Mhm.
slavery. It's shameful. It is really shameful.
Yep. Well, guys, y'all know it's time for us to get ready to go. But know that I will have this young man back on again soon.
It was a
Because
pleasure.
it's always a pleasure working with him or
Thank
talking with
you.
him and things like that. And I'm just excited about his books and everything that he got going on, and his new wine that he
Thank
got
you.
out. Um, and you want to tell the people where they can find you and where they can get your books from?
You can go on Amazon and just type in Frank Zaquan Jordan. Actually, I will be in April. I'll be in Alabama
Okay.
in April and in Detroit, May May 6th and May 7th. I'm actually having a tasting, okay, a sip and read in the city of Detroit, May 6th and May 7th, at Detroit Book City.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
pretty sure you're familiar with that, Laura, Detroit Book City.
Right, right. I am. Yeah, and these are the books that I'm showing, and these are his different books that he have out. Um, I think on this one he have all a few more of his books.
Right.
Um, yeah, this guy is a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you.
and
I'm more enamored by you, Laura. Thank you.
and and like I said, he's a motivational speaker as well. So if you know a school that might want to bring him on and for him to talk about Black history, you reach out to him. And I'm
That was
gonna
amazing. Those kids. It was 3,500 kids, and I did two sessions with those kids, two, three sessions with those kids.
wow.
That was amazing to have the attention of 3,500 kids at one time. Nobody
Yeah.
blinked. I expected a paper airplane to go by my face. A balled up piece of paper, somebody shout out something,
Mhm.
but it was the kids didn't blink. They loved it. They love every bit of it. And they bombarded me afterwards. I mean, they just bombarded me. The security guy said, 1 minute I saw you, and the next minute you disappeared into the crowd. I was like, yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Oh, great. All right, guys. So y'all know I had to, like I said, I had to come in before February end to do at least one show or something, regarding Black History Month. Um, I've been taking a little hiatus on the show, but I'm gonna be back and very soon, full blast. But just right now, I'm just taking a little time off. But I had to come on today because I wanted to end the month at least with something powerful, something for our young people, and us adults as well, because some things that this young man has mentioned today, some of us probably didn't even know it either. You know, I know there was a few things that I didn't know and I learned about, but um, yeah. So you should always be open to knowledge, no matter how old you are or what the case may be. It's always okay to gain knowledge if someone is going to teach it, and they have the knowledge to teach it to you, learn it. So anything you want to say before we go? Any advice to anybody that might be out there trying to get started and they want to do the same thing you doing, or they want to know something about some history that you teaching or something? Anything you want to share with them?
Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't surround yourself with a negative circle. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that's cliche. I know a lot of people, that you hear that every day. But even if you got to be by yourself, for a couple of months, and you got to remove yourself from a certain situation or a certain element, to come back and reinvent yourself as a different person. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you surround yourself with a bunch of negative people, you'll never unleash and unlock, that genius that's and that creativity that's in you. If you want to
Mhm.
become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, you'll never do that around people that's doubting you and laughing at you, and you'll never become this, and you always would just big mic on the corner and they're laughing at you. And our people, they give into that too. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe I am, just big mic, and I'll never do that. So a lot of times you got to go, you got to reset your brain, okay, and you got to come back and you have to reinvent yourself, and actually just remove all the toxins, just like your body. If you remove a lot of toxins out of your body, you feel better. You start thinking a lot better. Your body feels better. And it's the same with people. A lot of times you got to remove away from people, and you got to get away from the toxins of people, okay, to come out, okay, and be a better person. If it takes you 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, don't be afraid, okay, and never ever dumb yourself down to fit in. That's young
Yep.
or old.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and Friends. We are out of here.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for
Uh-huh.
having me.
Oh, no problem.
How did it go?